All right, people, how we doing today? It's a beautiful Thursday. We've got a few things going on here today at the compound. As you see in the back, I have a vehicle here that I had to do some work on, rotors. I had to put backing plates on the front and a wheel bearing in the front and a ball joint. Now, the thing is with the Subarus is you go to pull the ball joint bolt out. I've done this before on the other side, and you can finesse it, take your time. It usually snaps the bolt. So you've got to drill it out and put a bolt, same size bolt through with a nut on the back side. But that's not what we're really focusing on today, people. What we're focusing on today is another project that I like to call the dump trailer. And as you see, I want you to take a look. I have both sides up. Let me just tell you right now, that is 1/8 inch steel or 10 gauge. I believe that's 10 gauge on the sides. Still heavy as hell, okay? Them are 12-foot panels. Now you notice on the inside I don't have any etching primer yet. We're gonna work on that. I'm really not too worried about it because that's the sand and the dirt and the rocks are gonna scrape that clean anyway. Like I said, I'm probably going to just put some fluid film on it. But I got these, I got the Hobart out again. We got the panels up. What I went through and I stitch welded all the way down. I actually clamped everything and as I went down. And this actual rail right here had sagged just a whisker. So what I did was I took a board and wedged it up in until it was the right height. And went through and tacked everything and pulled the board out. But as you see up front, I was going to put one in the middle, but I decided not. I said, let me put two supports. We're going to have another sheet of metal here going across, obviously. But as you see, I had to cut around that and lay it in there so that I can weld around that. I'm using the up tent, people. As you see, I've got the full extension here and half there. That way I can have a little shade. Today was absolutely beautiful out in upstate New York. And let me show you what we got here. If I was to flip this panel over, it's actually got a surface rust on it. As you can see, the grass, it laid in the grass the other night, and it's got like an orange surface rust all across it. So what I did was I had to flip that over. Now before I actually put the etching primer on here, I took this down, got all the mill scale off and all the rust. It's completely bone clean. I acetoned it, wiped it down, and then I hit it with the self-etch primer. And what we're going to do is the same thing for the front piece. It's just getting a little long in the day here, so I'm going to have to start picking up some of the tools. But what I wanted to show you was when you take these type of pieces of steel, I got a bunch of these. And this is a 2x2 steel I'm going to be putting on the sides. I don't know if you can see here. I've got some spots laid out. Okay. There's 4 on the sides. And before you can't just spray, you can, but you really shouldn't just spray self-etching primer on top of mill scale. This is mill scale right here. Let me show you. Do you see the color of it? Now, if you don't get that off, it'll last for a little while, but you really need to get it down to the raw steel. And the other thing is with the flapper disc, it gives a little bit of a sanding surface to it where the primer can bite into it. So tomorrow my plan is to cut 4 pieces out of each of these and get those laid in. And pretty much, okay, with the exception of the, as you see, I've got this stitched all the way down through here. I have to run some seam sealer in here before I paint, but that's really not a problem. I should have, this is about the size what I should have right here left, this piece. And what I'm going to do is cut that in half with the plasma cutter, and let me show you my plan. So what I want to do, actually this is going to serve 2 purposes. I'm going to lay it in there like this at a 45. Okay, and I'm going to weld it and stitch it all the way down, and then I'm going to put the seam sealer on here, and it's going to actually come up at a 45. It'll actually give the wall a little more rigidity too. But that's a tale for another day. But we got a lot done today. I'm pretty happy with it. This is a 12 footer, so I think I need 6 feet of this bigger piece, and I'm going to put that up front. And you know, I get a lot of people on YouTube, a few guys that'll get on there and they'll say, all you do is talk about what you're doing. You don't really show nothing. And what I've got to say about that is, I mainly do these videos, people, for a documentation for myself. And if you see anything in them that you can take from them and benefit from, that's just a bonus for you. But I'm really not on here trying to do things for people. Okay, I'm doing them for myself, to reflect back on my family. If they want to look back on it and see what I've accomplished and done, they can look back on them. This isn't for the general public to say, wow, look, he showed me how to grind a weld down. If you can't do that, there's plenty of pages that'll show you that. Okay, and I'm not upset about it. It's just frustrating when you hear people say, all you do is talk about it. Yeah, well, that's what my page is about. I talk about the things that need done, and if you can't add up 2 and 2 and make 4 out of them, that's not my fault. That's your fault. So if you want to see someone grind welds, and if you want to see someone cut things, there's plenty of pages on there that will sit there and show you step by step and how to hold your hand, and like a little mommy, they'll walk you out to the saw and they'll show you how to chop it. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I've already raised my kids. I'm not raising more. But if you don't want to be on a channel, that's fine. I'm not going for subscribers. I'm not going for a big volume here. This is my own personal page. This is my page that says the situation is, if I want to look back on something to say, when did I do that? I can go in my video archives and I can check it out. So that being said, if you're here, I appreciate you here. I hope you find something in the video that you can maybe add to your situation. If not, hey, there's plenty of videos out there. You know what I'm saying? There's YouTube University will show you how to cut a board, how to cut a piece of steel, how to tack it, how to weld it. That's just not this page. You just got to scroll on. But anyway, getting back to the content that I'm trying to talk about is, you know, this dump trailer is going to be really, really handy. This is just the top, people. This is just the top. Let me take you down underneath, and I'm going to show you what. Okay, I'm going to get down under here. Hold on. And I'm going to show you. I estimate this thing is about, now what I have to do, this is probably about 1,500 pounds when it's all done. There is a calculator on there. You can add up the steel and the thicknesses and the lengths. Like this sheet right here is almost 600 pounds. It's 548 pounds. And then the other sheet that's on the sides and the front is another 350 pounds. So you're almost at 1,000 pounds right there. Or a little more than 1,000. But anyway, you see these here. What I've got to do is I've got to go through underneath them. I'm not going to weld the entire seam. That's ridiculous. If you ever have to replace something, that's a major thing to get it off. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to actually just come in here and do a small 2-inch stitch, another 2-inch stitch, and then another 2-inch stitch. And all that does, people, is holds the bottom from making any vibrations and stuff, and that kind of connects the center. But believe me, you couldn't get this panel off there if you wanted to. Okay, it's welded all the way around the perimeter. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to probably, like I said, stitch around here both sides. This will help keep, for where the ram is, it'll give it more rigidity as well. But as you can see, this all needs to be sanded and put in prime. And you say, well, why don't you just paint it? You know, get some direct to metal paint and paint it. You know, and you can do that. It's just, I'm looking for quality, not speed. I'm not looking to hurry up and get this done so I can watch it in the yard rust. That's not what I'm doing, people. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go over each panel and I'm going to get it all sanded down nice. And then when I'm done, we're going to put the self-etching primer on there. And then when this thing's all done and I put this back on top of the actual trailer frame, I'm going to raise this up when the hydraulics are on it, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put an epoxy primer on it, and we're going to spray the whole thing, which is going to lock it down. Let me show you. It's going to lock it down with the epoxy primer, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the single stage urethane high gloss black. After we, you know, remember, we're going to go through all these areas here where the salt would get up in, and we're going to put seam sealer all the way around here. And that seam sealer is very good stuff. You get a good automotive one. And if you get the good automotive one, you won't have no issues. Don't buy just regular caulk and put that up there and think you're going to do something, because if you're not doing it right, you're better off not even doing it, because you're not doing it. You're really not doing it. You're fooling yourself. Now, if you're the type of guy that says, let me just throw this together and spray some paint on it, make it look shiny, and I'm going to sell it and get on down the road, well, you're no different than, how do I say, the factories like Brymar or Super Cam Line or Hawk. That's what they do. They just throw them together. PJ Trailers, I think they do a little better. I seen a video on them where they, the PJ Trailers or the Texas, there's one in Texas that does them. And they actually take the time to put better primers and stuff on them. So there's a reason why you're paying more for those. Those trailers that are more money, there's most of the time they're doing more for you. You're not going to have a rusted out trailer in a year and a half. But we're going to go ahead and get all the fluid film on here when it's all done. We're going to fluid film the bottom, and we're going to fluid film the frame. And we're going to have a situation that says, we're good. We're good to go, and we're good to say, if we want to haul some dirt, some hay, some rock, some mulch, some wood. In my case, I'll be going around when people, especially we just had a storm up here, when people are getting rid of wood, I'll be going ahead and collecting it and bringing it back, and it's just like cash in my pocket. Because if you ain't got to buy the wood, that's even better. But that's the deal, people. We'll give you one last look at the underneath, and we're going to take I'll do a walk around up top. So as you can see, okay, it's really, really nice. All this is brand new. This is not pieced together. This is all brand new steel. This is good steel. This is thick steel. This is painted steel and primed steel, and this is my steel. And I designed this myself. I put it all together, and it's not that. Hold on a second, people. And it's not that, oh, this is the best trailer in the world. But you know what? It's a trailer that says, I didn't have to pay the long limousine dollar, people. And I actually made this stronger than some of the ones that they're putting off on the market. And, you know, you ain't going to do it without tools. You got to have a welder. You got to have the biggest thing you've got to have is a desire to say, I'm not going to fail. I'm going to move forward. And I'm not going to fail. I'm going to keep going until I get it right, get it right, get it right. So, as you can see, these are the... now, these came with the trailer frame. He had them in a... these are very heavy steel. These are like almost... I think they're 3/4 inch. But these came with it. When I bought the trailer frame, he had a box full of stuff in these pieces. He saved them. Thank God he did. Now, what I've got to do here... Let me bring you down here. And as you can see how I reinforce, this is heavy wall, 1/4 inch heavy wall, and this is 1/4 inch angle. Instead of the way they had it originally on the trailer, the cam line, they had this welded right to the box channel. Okay, and there was pieces on here that were ripped and jagged, and must have ripped it right off when it got just so rusted. But I figured if I can span this is about, what, 4.5, 5 inches wide. If I can span this to a foot and burn this into the angle and then the angle into the box channel, now I've got almost, you know, a 1/2 inch of steel here that's supported on a bigger area. And that's the deal there. Now here's the other thing I've got. What I've got to do, this panel, again, is not 12 feet. It's like 12 feet, 1 1/4. So you see this here. What I've got to do is I've got to run... A friend of mine I was talking to him, and we were talking about it, and he had a good idea. He said, take the cutoff wheel and just break the membrane here on the steel enough to compromise it. Go all the way down there, and then go ahead and take, you know, either heat or a hammer and just roll this over and then weld it. And I was going to actually go on the top and score it and do that, and then I was going to weld the seam, which that would have worked, but this I think is a better idea. This is a better idea. And, yep, so that's what we're going to do. As you can see, it's been a lot of fun building this, actually. It's been a lot of fun. And we got big blue skies today. we got the trailer underway, and we're happy about it. It's going to be I had a couple 10-footers, and you know, I always wanted to stick with the 10-footers. I said, no, I don't want the 12. I don't want the 14. They're just too big. But now that I actually see this 12-footer, it's not that I would take and get and walk by a 10-footer, but let me tell you something. This 12-footer, you got an extra 2 feet for hauling boards or anything. And then when the tailgate goes on here, you're talking almost 14 feet. But it's really not that big. It's a nice size one for a home owner or a small business. Now what I've got to do is build these fenders, but I'm not going to build them until all my pieces are in, and I'm going to go around them and tie them all in together, and we're going to be in good shape, people. Now that goes right over here, and it sits on top of this frame. As you can see, the only one thing I do have to change, somebody must have welded this up, and there must have been a hole there. I'm going to get another one of these. The one thing I like about this setup right here is you can adjust this for your truck. And then I had a friend of mine give me let's take a look. I had a friend of mine give me a Reese hitch piece, and as you see, I'm sitting on 37s, people. Tonka's sitting on 37, so you have to have adjustment in order to have a flat trailer. And as you see, take a look at this baby. Now this has an adjustment for going up and down as well. So we're going to be able to get this just the way we want it, and we're going to be able to get the height and everything leveled out. And that's the situation. We're going to be basically in good shape. So it's a labor of love. It's been a lot of fun building this trailer, and I look forward to I may even build one or two more. It may not be this big. I may build just a small trailer for hauling lawnmowers or you know, whatever. And I may build a small dump trailer, like a 5x10 or 5x8. But I just wanted to give you a rundown and have you take a look at this. We've got a situation that says our dump trailer is going to be done here hopefully by the weekend, possibly back on here. And if we have another couple days like this, I'll have it in epoxy primer, and I will have it will be all painted black. But this is Bry giving you an update before the sun goes down. And I got to get on down the road, people. All right, I hope you have a good night. And remember what I told you the other day. Get off that couch.